Yeah! Yeah! Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Because we, sorry for the ear-piercing scream that I
Is
just.
it too loud?
No. No, it's perfect. It's just fine.
All right, I'm not gonna play it for too long because that's actually not my riff. So
Just go like.
yeah,
That actually hurt my throat. I don't want to do that again. That sucked,
I haven't done that in years.
dude.
I haven't done that in so long. What's up? He's coming out of this. That's the only way he can hear this. So that's y'all gonna hear him tonight.
I'm sorry. I love you guys. I hope you guys are doing well.
Toyota, you gotta scream Toyota.
Toyota!
Watch, we're gonna do all this stupid shit. We're gonna end up getting sponsored
by Ford of all things.
Yeah, like
Not even Toyota.
In our driveway.
Not even Toyota. Anyways, hi everybody. Welcome to this interesting intro. As generally most of our intros tend to be very weird. I'm here with my boy George, as always. We decided, because I don't think we've done this yet. George is a musician. I and him have an affinity for music. I am musically, not going to say that word. I'm musically inept. He, however, is good. But I do love music. So we decided to talk about bands today. What the fuck are you doing over in the corner?
You ever introduce your friend to your other friends, but there's a language barrier, like amongst all these people at a party? He just goes, "Hello."
Just entirely like a different concept of like language. See, actually, I have had that happen before. It's not a big deal because, in all honesty, it's kind of cool to see somebody's reaction to like a different culture. I like seeing different cultures. I like culture. That's why I like America, or what I believe is America. Like the culture.
Other cultures are cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like fuck, that's so dope to me.
So, on the topic of bands, so usually bands have an early impact, but at the same time during a certain point in your life, like, I don't know, the turn of certain corners, like age 15 or 16 or whatever, when life becomes more serious, school becomes more serious, friends are a little more, they're just, the roots are deeper.
They're more constant than they were before. Right. Yeah.
What band did it for you, man? I'm going to use this word because I think it defines me in certain ways. Like, what band gave you like that extra step?
Oh, it was a couple bands. It's a couple bands that really hit hard for me, cause my roots, and a rapper, my roots are primarily punk rock and heavy metal. Now when I was younger, I was raised country, hated it. I have a particular disdain for most country music, unless it's classical country or old country music, like fucking, Johnny Cash, shit like that's great. I like Dan and Shay. I like I like country that is able to fuse with other genres and do it well. But when it's just twang, America, and I fought for this country, like that shit bothers me. I hate it. I hate it to no end.
So you like the more rebel side, the more rebellious outlaw side of it, rather than, F-150.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I think that, and I also just don't.
I'd love to own one, but still.
Yeah, I have to tell you the story of I can tell this online. I don't give a shit. My dad, when I was younger, it's gonna make my dad look like a piece of shit. Whatever. He tried to indoctrinate me in a way. Started playing all this old country music that was not so kind to any other race. Like it was bad. Um, and I was like, from that point on, I stopped listening to most country. And it's just recently, because of my wife, that I've gotten back into some of the country. But I stopped hard listening to any kind of country, and even if it was on the radio, I'd turn it off for a solid 15 years.
So she's in the country.
She's into certain country, not all of it. Um, but it was pretty bad what my dad made me listen to. And I don't think I'll ever forget it. But it also taught me a lot. Like in the sense like, oh, this is not okay.
Like
This
what to avoid.
yeah, I need to avoid this. This is bad.
Right.
But to actually to an effect, middle school was was the highlight of like my musical awakening. Biggest effects for me, Linkin Park. So it's mid 2000s. Linkin Park was on the high. Minutes to Midnight was just released. Literally one of their, other than Hybrid Theory and what's the other one? Meteora. Yeah, those albums are certified bangers. I love Linkin Park, and I know they're pretty mainstream now, but like Linkin Park was the shit.
They were always, as soon as they released Hybrid Theory, they were shot up into mainstream.
Oh, Hybrid Theory was
Like
such a good album.
there was no real, honestly. I don't, not that I heard. There was never really any selling out. That's where they, not that they started there, because I'm sure they cut their teeth locally for years. But when Hybrid Theory came out, it was such a well composed album.
So good. And then they released the bonus tracks with Faint and stuff like that. Or was that Meteora?
It's Meteora.
It's Meteora was Faint. The bonus tracks on Meteora were great. But anyways, continue.
And then, as soon as Hybrid Theory came out, they shut up. They started touring with the big guns until they started, second support, and then they themselves were the big guns, and then going on their own tours, and then Meteora came out, and then forget it.
Dude, it skyrocketed.
I mean, it was a solid. As soon as the radio, I mean, One Step Closer was cool and all, but as soon as Crawling,
my god,
hit the radio, that's it. There was no turning around for these guys. That's it. Because then everybody else caught wind of the whole album, and the whole album is great. My favorite song is actually not Crawling, In the End, or One Step Closer from that particular album. Fuck, I forgot what the name of the song is.
Breaking the Habit is one of my favorites. I love Breaking the Habit. I don't remember what album it's from. I feel bad for not knowing.
Breaking the Habit is the one. I think they released it for Transformers. No, that's too.
No, wait, Breaking the Habit's on Minutes to Midnight? What?
Either Meteora or Minutes to Midnight, but Breaking the Habit is too new. Their sound was a little cleaner at that point. More well produced for Hybrid Theory. Hybrid Theory. Fuck, what's the name of that song?
I'll look it up for you. I'm looking at it now. So we got Runaway. Points of Authority was a banger. I loved Points of Authority. With You, Paper Cut was good. Dude, this whole album was a banger, dude.
Dude, it's the one that says From the Top to the Bottom. It starts like that.
From the top to the bottom. There's a Place for My Head.
No.
By Myself.
No.
Cure for the Itch. Damn. That's hard. Let me look at Meteora.
No, it's not there. It's Hybrid Theory.
It has to be Hybrid Theory?
Yeah.
What's crazy too is that these albums were released 2000 and 2003, and I got into them 8 years after they were released, by the way. Just so you know, because I was in middle school between 2008 and 2010. And I discovered them when I was like 10 or 11. No, 11 or 12.
Did you discover them via another band or?
No, I discovered them where I think a lot of people from my generation discovered them.
Oh, video games.
Either video games or AMAs or AVAs, which are like like YouTube videos that have like anime covers, and then underneath is like a soundtrack of a band. Um,
Well, for yeah,
I discovered Faint, and they had covered it, and it was a scene between a character called Naruto and his friend enemy Sasuke fighting, and Faint was in the background, and Naruto was handing Sasuke his ass. But I fell in love with the song afterwards.
it's cool how many songs you come across via video games, because some video, depending on the video game, like if it's a racing game or a skateboarding game or some kind of adrenaline related game, they're gonna put a banger ass of a soundtrack on it.
Dude, I'm telling
And
you, I'll tell you right now, ATV2. It's just a game about ATVs, dude. They had Seosin, Mudvayne, Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, all on the soundtracks.
what's also cool is
Banger game.
what's also cool is the differences between you and me discovering songs. I think by the time you were of age and discovering things a certain way, I think by your time, radio had already gone soft. So you weren't discovering the heavy shit on the radio.
No. A lot of my experiences were LimeWire. Like downloading shit like directly off the internet and getting it like through a hunky SanDisk MP3 player because we were poor, couldn't afford a
Right.
fucking like what do they call them? What they used to call iTouches. Yeah, shit like that. We couldn't afford that. So we got this little MP3 SanDisk. By the way, for people that are younger than us, and actually for people that are the same age as us, y'all remember the SanDisk with that little blue ass screen? It looked like it was literally command console code, and you had a disc, and it was black. Oh my god, you guys remember that? I know you do.
The name of the song is called Forgotten.
Oh yeah. Good song. Oh my god. So
Oh, real quick, while we're on the topic of Linkin Park, do you like remixes?
I don't mind remixes.
I mean, I know with you, if the song is good, it's good.
Yeah, it's a banger.
If it's a
certified
banger,
classic.
it's a banger.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long this guy has been out. But he has his own material, and it is literally the perfect mix of the melodic aggressiveness of Linkin Park with the sharp rap delivery of Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park and Eminem. So these are big artists that I'm throwing out there, and I'm telling you, they sound like the perfect mix. I'll text you later, but this guy's name is Echo. But he also has a cover of, so Mike Shinoda of Linkin Park had I don't know, like a side band called Fort Minor, and they released a song called "Where'd You Go," right? And I think it was on a video game or something like that. And it's really catchy actually. So he made a cover of it. It's obviously a cover. He does change words. Obviously, the rap parts he changes them, and even the chorus he changes them. But it's still so good, so good. In fact, that I temporarily removed the Fort Minor original version off the playlist, and I put this one in there so I could jam onto this one for a while, because this dude is talented. This dude is sick.
So here's my thing, and actually now that you bring that up, I appreciate people's talent, and I have no doubt that this guy is super talented. But for instance, for me personally, when I hear somebody else singing it, it just makes me want to hear the original more.
So that means when you hear Holy Diver by Killswitch Engage, you want to hear the Dio version.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, no. No, that's one of the few that I was like, no, I'd rather listen to this. Like Alien Ant Farm, Smooth Criminal. I would much rather listen to theirs than Michael Jackson. Bar none, because Michael Jackson's dope. I'm just saying I would rather listen to the rock version.
Totally, but that's because we like rock.
I like rock a lot, yeah. So barring those few, generally, like if somebody does a cover of like a Stone Sour song with Corey Taylor, I would much rather listen to Corey Taylor.
It's because they're edgy enough. They have that grit that satisfies already. Now, I won't say that. I don't know. I like covers, but they do have to hit.
That's what I'm
If
saying.
they don't,
Yeah,
if they don't hit, okay, cool to listen to. Oh, cool, they did something different here. Cool, but the original is still the banger. You know that
absolutely.
that that I agree with that. But there are you just said it yourself. Smooth Criminal by Alien and Farm being a huge one. Yeah, I feel weird. MJ's the shit. I grew up dancing like that guy around my whole house as a
Exactly.
kid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I still want to listen to the Alien Ant Farm version.
It's it's enough
it's
of
just
a
it's cool.
difference. Exactly. Well, it's enough of a difference in the way that they like provide the same lyrics to where I'm
It's
very interested.
yeah,
Um,
it's a faithful cover. All they did was add
rock to it, baby. That's all you got to
good.
do.
But the thing is, it feels like it's one of us doing it. You know, it feels like us. We got in the garage and we pulled it off.
It just
There's a
feels like they're. Go ahead.
there's a relatability to it
Yeah.
versus you know the guy who's singing it is the king of pop. There's no relating yourself to the freaking king of pop.
Like it's a
Like
banger song, man. Yeah, but
I understand he grew poor, but he's the king of pop. By the time he released that song, he had everything.
exactly.
Um, and he was a totally different animal. But so yeah, Linkin Park was a big part of it for you.
That and funny enough, I just mentioned them Slipknot, which I discovered around the same time,
Yeah,
which was my introduction to heavy metal.
to the heavier side.
Very heavy. And I didn't listen to what's the hold on. I got you because I gotta look up their fucking albums. It's been a minute. I got discovered, or
I
I
think you
just
talked about it. You discovered them during Volume 3 Subliminal Verses.
I discovered them through Volume 3 Subliminal Verses. I
Because
remember,
that came out during when you said you're the mid 2000s. That's when that came out.
and I remember when he released All Hope, or when they released All Hope Is Gone. It's 2008. I'm in middle school. That's one of the albums that I remember the biggest because I love their mask during All Hope Is Gone is the best. I love 2008 Slipknot mask. They're dope.
You like that? That's your favorite mask era.
Yeah, it's my favorite mascara. I love Corey Taylor's mask. But my favorite album, and I know it's probably gonna piss somebody off. I fucking love the original album. Sick. The original album's dope. Volume 3 Subliminal Verses was good, and
I don't think anyone's going to give you crap for the self-titled. Actually, I don't think anyone's
yeah.
going to give you crap for liking the self-titled over any other release. That's most people's favorite.
Like Wait and Bleed, Spit It Out. Holy shit, Eyesore. Oh my god, those songs are like bangers, man. They're so good.
Now, the masks, as much as I love them visually, when I see them how they function from a functionality standpoint or don't function, for some reason they immediately like they lose favoritism from me. Like I actually really liked the fuck. What was that? Not All Hope Is Gone. Not the album with the skull on it.
Well, there's Iowa too.
No, newer.
There's We Are Not Your Kind.
That one. So we Are Not Your Kind. He had a clear mask. Corey had a clear mask that kind of looked like it would like the mouth and the eyes were shaped after the original mask, mixed with kind of the clean look of the All Hope Is Gone mask.
Oh, it looks horrifying. I love it.
But when you see it live and he starts singing and all of this right here starts to puff up, it just looks stupid.
Yeah, that's why I liked the All Hope Is Gone mask is because it was like a Jason mask. It was PVC or plastic. So when he moved, he had to force his mouth open because that shit was all around his face.
Yeah, it was tight.
It was
and he
tight
had a
as
hole here. Like some of them, if it looks good, and they don't care how uncomfortable it is, they'll wear it. The mask he has on right now, his most recent mask, that kind of looks like a Slender Man type of face. I think based on what we were talking about right now about the fit of the mask, I think it's
Oh,
I think it's the most perfect version of that. But how do you see through that?
you can't. You're
How do
dude,
you slightly you know how you can just kind of tilt your eyeballs and move around and see? How can he do that? He has to move his head.
fully. Well, dude, that's the thing though. They've been doing this shit since
They know what
1995.
they
So
know what they're doing.
they know what they're doing at this point because there's no way they don't. Like they've been around.
He's
Yeah, 1995. They've been
he,
around.
he said his most comfortable mask was the subliminal versus mask because that's when he had a lot of hair. So that's the only mask that has only been here,
That's the
and then
fucking.
and
That's
then
the
that's the one that looks like it's rotting and the nose is twisted.
yeah. That's the Leatherface like Stitch mask. Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
that was a banger
that's the
mask.
first that's the first one that had the two-piece jaw. Like if you saw him singing up close and he moves, the whole jaw moves.
Oh, that's creepy.
And it's light and it's comfortable and it's only a face mask because he was letting his whole hair out, the whole back of his head. So I can see that being the most comfortable one. But then he always shaves his head, so he's gonna look like an 8 ball. So that and then they went from that to All Hope Is Gone, and I thought it was cool looking.
Dude, yeah, I have a thing for that. Like, what was his first mask? Six for I call it Sick, but it's their like debut album.
It's a paper mache mask essentially, with his old dreads.
Yeah,
Stuff, you
yeah,
know.
that one was fucking creepy. That one bothered me.
And it changed after that. It looks the same, but it changed. It's actually another mask when they went over to Iowa. It did change. It's actually a second mask. And then, I mean, the guitar player Mick, he had very subtle changes. Uh, Jim Root, the other guitar player, he eventually lost the bottom half because he had a, he had a huge beard. And then the other guys in the back, the DJ, he does radical changes. I've always liked clowns. Uh, Despite
Oh, Sean.
clowns'
Yeah,
drastic changes, it's still always a banger of a fucking clown.
it's
Always.
always a good clown, and you're right, Mick doesn't really change his mask, but it's so
He
good though. To be honest, it's a
he
good mask.
he looked one way for self-titled in Iowa, and I might be wrong, but I think it was with Subliminal Verses that his mask, although it stayed the same, it got cooler. It got slender, cutter, futuristic. Instead of having an open nose, he had a closed nose. As of that point, it was pretty much the same. Maybe a change in color, but the thing is, it must be super comfortable.
Yeah,
And he doesn't have to
absolutely.
worry about singing, so his jaw part doesn't have to move. He has to see and breathe. That's it.
Yeah, I think the one that I disliked the most, but I thought he absolutely shredded in the band was Joey Jordanson. That man could
His,
kill it on the drums.
his was simple. His
It was
well,
Kiss. It was Kiss inspired.
yeah, it's just probably weighs nothing, honestly.
Yeah, but I'm just saying though, the man killed it on drums. You could hear the way he ramped that. What do you call it? The heavy hammer on the big drum.
Yeah.
Boy, was killing
So
it.
do you feel the theatrics in Slipknot help pump you up?
For what?
Do you think their theatrics added to your liking of the band? The visual aspect.
No. I actually another shitty story. But to be fair, it's a shocker to somebody that only listens to country. My dad discovered what I was listening to, and nearly beat my ass. When
It sucks.
yeah.
I've been
So, but I didn't really care. I still listened to it. It didn't bother me too much. Um, but no, the masks were like a secondary thing for me. I never really paid attention to it until I got older, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can appreciate this as an artist. I like this shit. This is
Yeah, because
cool.
it's work.
It's a lot of
Like
work,
like we digest the coolness of it, but they put in the work.
dude. Could you imagine how much they fucking sweat in that thing?
No, they've
Oh,
thrown up, passed out, all kinds of shit. But the thing is, that's why it evolves. It evolves to be more ergonomic, lighter, Some of them I think have like little canals on the inside for sweat. I think I forget which mask he was talking about, but Corey was talking about the sweat would actually start to pool,
Oh, like he was
and it would
drowning.
and it would go in his ears. I think it
Oh,
was with the All Hope Is Gone mask.
it would make sense because it looks so tight, so it has to
Right.
go somewhere.
So yeah.
Oh,
So what was your third band? I think you had a third
I
band.
had a third band. What was my third band? Bear with me. Taking me forever to think about it. Oh, it wasn't a band. It was a rapper. It was Eminem.
Oh, but he influenced everybody.
Oh yeah, of course. Uh, big
When you're
album.
that sharp, that flawless, you influence everyone, man.
Oh yeah, because I didn't discover him till 2 years after I discovered rock, but it was like a secondary awakening. I
But
discovered Recovery was literally one of his best albums ever made.
the thing
So
is,
good.
he has such an edge that if you're a badass DJ, you can mix him with like heavy hitting rock and roll and metal, and it'll vibes. It'll go so good. D12 has this song called "Fight Music." You know who D12 is,
Oh
right?
hell yeah, it's fight music. Oh yeah, I know what D12 is. Yes. Oh my god, that song's good.
The reason I ask is because sometimes I start yapping and I don't find out until later that you don't know what bands I was talking about. Not you
No idea.
particularly, but people. So I always kind of just throw it in there, like, D12? Yeah, all right, cool, continue.
To preface this though, we did have a conversation when we were in the car together. I mentioned fuel, and you looked at me like, "What the fuck? How do you know what
Well,
fuel is?"
it's an age thing, but
I listen
but
to a lot of shit, man. I like music a lot.
so D12 has this song called "Fight Music."
Oh, such a good song.
I think I've heard the original before, but this guy on YouTube remixed the song to only have Eminem's part,
Well, don't remove the
and
whole, but I get it. I get it.
well, that was the first time I heard the song. So like for me, that feels like the original, even though I know it's not. But this guy plays guitar under it.
Ooh.
He doesn't just play guitar. Like he has one of those guitars that has the bar, and
Oh, the whammy.
he
Yeah.
just goes fucking nasty. It's not
Ooh.
even fucking funny. Like it's just makes me want to just take my guitar off.
Just makes you
Like it's
moist.
just like what the fuck. Like I'll just pick up kazoo. Um, I'll link you that later as well.
I forgot I'm
Uh,
on speakers. I gotta chill out for what I say.
it's fine, man. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to say a band gives you swagger, but when you listen to a certain band, you get up and you feel better. If it's one of your favorite songs, you get up and you feel better. So for me, my musical awakening also came with wanting to play.
Yeah.
So what introduced me to everything, which for me was like, oh my god, this is so punk. Of course, later on you realize it wasn't so as punk, but Green Day got me in there. Maybe,
Oh. Okay, continue.
maybe is that a good or
No,
a bad?
I hate Green Day. I absolutely
That's
hate
understandable.
Billy Joel.
But it
Can't stand
wasn't
that.
just Green Day. I was at the same time I was listening to Green Day. At the same time I discovered Weezer, old Weezer,
Old
and then
Weezer's a
and
banger.
then
Yeah.
and then all this stuff that was out at the time. Mid '90s, radio was playing everything, metal, everything, Soundgarden, all this kind of shit, everything. Even though it wasn't mixed into punk, I was focused on the punk stuff. But when I wasn't at home listening to my CDs, I had the radio in the car, and it was still playing good shit. It was still playing Metallica, Soundgarden, Pearl Jam.
That's a banger.
Like
Oh my god, I wish we had '90s radio. That's
radio
nuts.
was edgier, and then it died, and then luckily we had streaming stuff, so I have that. Um, then we moved. Actually, no, that was early childhood, right? I kept it to myself because I was embarrassed to listen to rock. Because as a younger kid, I was a hip hop kid. I was too stupid to say that I liked both, right? In Miami back in the day, you couldn't say that. At least little kids, I mean, adults don't care, but when you're a little kid, you're either one or the other, especially because school, the social cliques divide you that way. Now,
makes you feel, yeah, it makes you feel like
right.
ostracized.
So then for 2 years, I moved to South America, and over there, nobody gives a fuck.
Just listen to
But
whatever.
right. So when I moved down there, that's when Korn's "Follow the Leader" came out.
Oh
Right.
God, yeah, Corn. Okay,
And
okay.
a friend of mine played it, and I first heard that shit. I was like, "What? What the fuck are they doing? What are they for?"
Just so
Exactly.
stupid.
Like, what the hell are they doing? And then I started going down this wormhole of this wave of music that's coming out that basically married hip hop attitude with distorted guitars, guys that didn't really solo. They just went crazy with all these sound effects and noises and scrapes and all this kind of shit. 2 years down in South America, I moved back. I still loved punk. Blink 182 came out. I discovered Blink 182. I was playing with them back with Weezer and Green Day too. Those three were the most popular poppy bands out, right? And I thought Blink
Uh,
182 was funny, but by the
listen to
time I
Sum
moved,
41 was
at
blessed.
the time they weren't out though.
That's fair. That's fair. Blink 182 is still going, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still going.
By the time I moved back, that's when their album with the chick on the front, the nurse, came out. All the small things that around that
Oh
time,
yeah. Okay, okay.
I had come back. Sum 41 was basically like right there,
God,
and I
love
love
Sum
Sum
41.
41.
Yeah, I love them too.
Their attitude, they're like they just called it quits though.
Oh,
They're
that
on their
makes
final tour.
that really makes me sad because they have enough of a fuck off attitude. Like their songs are very fuck you and fuck off. I don't want to deal with you right now. You know what I mean? It's one of those things.
Right now, when I got my ass into high school, by the time I got myself into high school, my oldest cousin was listening to heavier stuff, Slipknot included.
Oh yeah, good.
Uh, then he popped in a CD that point of no return for me.
Oh God, I gotta see it. Who is it? Who is it?
Deftones. I was done.
Oh yeah, you were telling me you really like Deftones.
I
Yeah.
was done. He popped in an album called Around the Fur. We were listening to it in his Honda Prelude. That's it. I had to get on this band. I went down the biggest rabbit hole of this band, bands that sound like bands that tour with them. That's by then the whole door cracked open for me. I'm like, oh, okay, Korn. Oh, I know these guys. Uh, Linkin Park, bands like Glassjaw, Tool, eventually A Perfect Circle, all these other bands like System of a Down, Incubus,
Oh yeah, I forgot about System.
uh, and all these other bands. And I was like, what the fuck? Limp Bizkit came and rounded it all off. And I was like, what the hell? The fact that they all knew each other, played with each other, Stained at the time, even though I don't like Stained anymore. All these bands were basically my whole high school attitude
When were you in high school?
between 99 and 03.
So I was still in elementary school.
Yeah.
But you see, and that's the thing where I kind of envy you a fuck ton because I had to be the follow up to discover this shit after it'd been released. Like I was talking about Meteora and Hybrid Theory being 2000 and 2003. I
You
did
had to
discover,
work back.
huh?
You had to work backwards
I had
to
to
listen to their shit.
exactly. You were there when it was released. Which, to be fair, I've had a couple banger albums that were, like Avenged Sevenfold's Nightmare. I remember when that was released. That was a banger album.
I had to do that too, because by the time I heard the Deftones, it was like 98, 99.
Oh, true. Yeah.
That came out in 97. That's their second album. And by the time I actually was in high school, like really paying attention to all this shit, it was 2000. That's when White Pony, their third album, came out. That's when I was like, all right, this
You were
band is
pining.
it.
You're like, I need this.
Yeah, that's when that came out. And then the fact that I was still listening to a lot of old school stuff like Alice in Chains, Metallica, all the heavier stuff, the fact that they all kind of pull from each other, right? Honestly, I never started with I never started listening to music chronologically correct, like classic rock first.
Mm.
I never cared about that until way later. Way later is when I cared more about classic stuff like Led Zeppelin, Guns N' Roses, Black Sabbath, Ozzy, um, uh, Van Halen, all these other stuff. And then towards the end of high school, that's when bands like Lamb of God, Killswitch Engage, All That Remains, that movement came out. And music that music is totally different, but it's cool in its own right. It's not metal like Metallica, but it's like the next push of it. And it's actually called metalcore. God, they hate that title, but that's the label it was given. New metal actually is for the Korn, Deftones, Limp Bizkit push, Linkin Park push. But
So new metal is like a second generation metal, where Killswitch would be like a third generation metal.
at least how I was exposed to it.
That makes, I
I
mean,
don't
it makes sense, like chronologically, like if you were to think of
I
like,
don't think there was anything. I don't think there was a wave in between.
interesting. So it would be
Like,
one like Alice in Chains, Metallica being first generation, and then you have new metal, which would be
well,
Korn,
no, that would
Slipknot.
be if you want to get real,
Go for
it
it.
would
Yeah.
be like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath,
Oh,
Iron
true.
Maiden,
Oh my God, yeah, you're right. I fucking
Judas
miss those guys.
Priest, Anthrax, freaking Testament, Slayer, like more first wave. I mean, you can still include in the second wave Metallica, Alice in Chains. Even though Alice in Chains are not metal, everybody loved them enough to
Classify
still,
them.
you know, bring them in.
We like you a
Then,
lot. Come in. We love you.
so then the whole new metal, NU metal, with the whole Korn thing, and then after that, I think that's when all these other metalcore bands like Killswitch started showing up.
And I like Killswitch a lot.
So yeah, those 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 stages influenced me a lot. As I'm older now, I can I can kind of pounce back between all these other stages, but my favorite one is the one that happened when I became an adult,
Oh shit.
which is somewhere between the new metal and the kill switch era. That's when I started my first job. That's when I met my wife. That's when, you know, you started doing your shit for yourself. Like a lot of those songs are like weaved into those memories. But I always go back to the new metal stuff because it's just so much. I mean, it's fun to play. Kids all sing along to it. They all just jam along to it. Oh shit! I didn't know I had a kid right here.
Weirdly, I had a trail here. So if you were to look at it like metal, um, I went punk rock, which is or hybrid rock, like Linkin Park or some shit like that. Then I went heavy metal, or metal in general, like Slipknot, Mudvayne. What's another one? What is it? Atreyu, freaking Bring Me the Horizon, like shit like that.
See, since you're 10 years after, by the time I was on one type, that you were still, how do I say it? Bro, the bands that came up after I had heard the wave of the music came in, I wasn't paying attention to the ones that came after. The ones that were young, but 5 years later, now they're older and they're in a band or whatever. Those were the new bands for you. Like Bring Me the Horizon, I never got into them.
I got into them, Escape the Fate, what Falling in Reverse, uh, Panic at the Disco, Fallout Boy, all that shit was my generation. Which, by the way, every band that I just listed, banger bands, all fucking great. But I have what I was trying to get at here is that I hit the metal skew, and then in my high school, weirdly, I kind of whittled myself down, because like I started listening to metal early, and then I was like, okay, cool. Then I started listening to John Bon Jovi and Journey and the older shit. And then, weirdly, I got into alternative rock, which is kind of, or post-hardcore bands, like Fall of Troy and Coheed and Cambria, which, by the way, is one of my favorite bands of all time. I love Coheed and Cambria so much, and they are definitely not metal. Like, they have some moments where they're pretty hardcore, but they are definitely not metal. And I fucking love them. I love them to death. So, like you were saying, I also discovered stuff, like a third awakening, if anything, where I fell in love with more soft stuff.
I mean, because if it's good, it's good. It doesn't have to be heavy.
Yeah.
You know,
like I love.
It'd be kind of boring if all the bands you liked sound exactly the same.
Yeah, like I love Frank Sinatra. Hold on, let's see if I can turn my camera here. I absolutely love Juice WRLD and X. I just like listening to music, man. That's what it is, dude. I just like music.
Like, even amongst heavy bands, like Lamb of God sounds different than Pantera, sounds different than Avenged Sevenfold, sounds different than Killswitch, sounds different than, Shadows Fall.
And yeah, they all have their own unique thing. Yeah.
But they mesh. Like,
so good. Oh,
right. So, yeah. So now there are songs that I rely on when I'm, I don't know, on the way to work, ready to get a project started, ready to do this, ready to clean the house, ready to do that. Some of the shit gets you moving. Not even in an aggressive way. It's like, man, this song's a jam.
Weirdly enough, in the morning, I listen to Killswitch Engage to get my ass ready. Like, I will listen to those songs and be like, let's go! Like, just oh, sorry, too much?
Oh,
okay.
Let it rip.
Yeah.
Let it rip.
But yeah, like, it's just like one of those things where, like, I have to get pumped to work and I will listen to something heavy. Now, when I get off, I will listen to something light. Or some kind of rap. Something that is more like melodic or lyric heavy that I can really follow and like and let my mind wander. Which one is that?
I don't know. You told me to play non-copywritten stuff, so I'm just
riff away, my brody doty. But actually, as George plays us a tasty riff, we're actually gonna cut it here because we've learned a couple things and we've seen a couple things.
I want a part 2 to this episode. We're not done with music yet.
No. We will delve more into this. Here's another. Go ahead.
A musician's point of view is just as important as a listener's point of view, because it affects us in different ways, but in the same ways. We're getting to the same place,
just differently.
Like differently, right? And it's cool to hear both.
Absolutely.
So
leave in the comment below what your generation, what your band is. Matter of fact, at the beginning of the episode, I'll also leave a comment like, hey, leave a comment. What was the band that got you into the musical world? Let us know, and let's let George take us out with a juicy riff.
That good.
You bitch. Sorry, I'm just being. Let us take him out. Good night, everybody.